Hi all, it's Ed from Racket Ralph's. Welcome to the channel if you're new to us. And I'm Ed Ralph, and behind the camera is my son Ruben. He's doing that today for us and going to be editing the video. It's the 4th of April. We originally shot the video for what would have been this film about a month ago, and for reasons that we will explain in a minute, we've scrapped all that and we're starting again. In that video that we did shoot before, we had just received t-shirts from Rob Bowclough at Royal Balls. If you don't know him, jump on his channel. We did mention it very briefly in another video that we put out, but was intending to have it in the main video there, which we're not doing. So thank you so much, Rob. Amazing t-shirts. I've got one. Ruben's wearing his as well there, not that you can see him. But he's wearing his. Really appreciate it. Rob has been a great mentor to us and a great support, and yeah, can't thank you enough, Rob. So thank you for that. And as I say, if you don't know Rob and his channel, amazing, really good channel, great sort of scientific basis upon all of the things that he shares. So jump on that. Today we are going to be continuing our 2022/3 season pairings. This was intended to be the last of these videos. There is one more going to be coming, which we'll explain about when we get to that in a future video. But this is concerning our Pied Ultramel project, and the star of the show, and I will get him out, is this boy, who regular viewers will know from before. This is Star-Lord, and this is our visual Pied Ultramel male, and he is amazing. He's actually one of the most expensive snakes that we have in our collection, and he's now what, 2.5 years old, I guess, something like that. Yeah, maybe not quite that, 2.25 years old. And he's stunning. Yeah, no, I guess 2.5 years old. He has fathered one clutch for us. He actually fathered our first ever clutch, which was last year. We paired him with Storm, which is our Sterling, so that's a super pastel cinnamon, who wasn't het for anything, but she gave us 5 eggs. Unfortunately, one of them didn't make it, but the other 4 hatched. From that, we got 3 pewters, so cinnamon pastels, 2 of which are female, 1 male, and we got a pastel female, all 100% double het for Pied Ultramel. And let's just explain a bit about these 2 recessive genes, and you've got the visuals in both of these. So the Pied gene, a lot of people will be very familiar with the Pied gene. The Pied gene gives a snake which has these you can get different proportions. This is a very low white Pied. The Pied gives these white markings. A lot of the time you'll have high white Pieds with just a bit of colour in these saddles. Star-Lord is a very, very low white Pied. But one of the things with the Pied is that you will always get a white belly. Regardless of what the back is like, the belly will always be white. And I think Star-Lord here is an absolutely superb example of a Pied Ultramel. I personally, in my Pieds, quite like, in many cases, quite low white Pieds, because you get more pattern. But there are some times where the high white Pieds can be particularly attractive as well. For example, I'm a big fan of the special Pieds, and those are very high white Pieds, quite often with just some markings on the head, and occasionally 1 or 2 small saddles. As I say, Star-Lord is very low white Pied, and he's gorgeous. And why I like the fact that he is so low white Pied is the fact that the Ultramel gene, which gives all these oranges, it really shows it in its fullness. I think he's amazing. So as I say, these are recessive genes. You need 2 copies of the gene, one from each parent, to get a visual. And he is a double recessive visual, so he is a visual Ultramel and a visual Pied. And what that means is that everything that he fathers will carry one of those genes. We'll carry a Pied gene from him, or inherit a Pied gene from him, and we'll inherit an Ultramel gene from him. Therefore, if you get the right pairings, you can could create potentially certain visuals if you paired them with another visual. At the very least, you're going to get them carrying these genes from him. And that's what we had with the first clutch, which we will be doing an update on very shortly. In fact, we're going to probably record it straight after this, so you may well find it goes out in a few days' time. But that is Star-Lord. Why are we leaving it so late to talk about him? He's one of our key males. Well, it's because he this year has not been interested in the women at all. We have been pairing him with 4 different snakes, and he just wasn't interested at all. Would go to the opposite end of the rub, would just show no interest. There he is, tongue flicking, look at that. And so, as I say, we're at the beginning of April, and we started pairing about mid-October, and I was getting towards the stage where I was sort of giving up on him for the season. There was one female, which I will show you in a minute, which I was adamant that if she didn't have a clutch from him, I didn't mind. I would rather she didn't have a clutch than that she had a clutch from somebody else. So it was only him to pair to her. But there were some other females, and we'll show you a couple of them, that we were considering using a backup male for. And the other video that we shot about a month ago was on the value of backup males, but also some of the problems with using backup males. It can be a really useful thing, but it can also cause a loss of focus in some of your projects, which is why there was this one female I did not want to pair to anything except this boy here. And so we shot that video, just needed to edit it, and tried one last time to pair him, and he locked. He locked about a month ago, or just under, and for the first time in the season. So I thought, all right, well, we'll hold fire. And then a week later tried him with another female, and he locked to her as well. And so we're going to show you 2 of those females that he is now locking with, and that's why we haven't put that video out. So so this is the boy, Star-Lord, our Pied Ultramel, and what we were going to do is I'm going to keep him out. I'll put him back in a tub, but keep him nearby because we're going to show you 3 females. We've decided to keep it to 3 females that we are going to be pairing him with, and that he is actually already being paired with 2, and the third one he is going to be paired with probably tonight. We'll talk about that because that's one which is quite important to Ruben, who's behind the camera. But Star-Lord, and I'm now going to go and get the first of the females that we are pairing him to, the one which only he was to be paired to. So this is the first girl. This is Peppa, of Peppa Potts fame. Rob's also got one called Peppa Potts, very different morph. This is Peppa. Now, she is a Pied, just a regular Pied. So you just saw Star-Lord, and I will bring him back into the picture in a minute, but you can see the difference. So Peppa is also a very low white Pied, and again, I'm very keen on that, particularly when putting with the Ultramel, to get the low whites is something that I quite like, to get as much pattern in there as possible. You can see she's got a lovely, some would almost call it a ringer, but she is a full white Pied. She's got a little white tip to her tail, big ringer there, just to prove that she is a full pied and not a het pied. There's her lovely white belly. Okay, so definitely a pied, and I love the way that the markings go down the side and come in and out there. But I'm not going to handle this girl much. You can see there's a few urates. I've cleaned it a little bit. This is in her actual tub, and there's a little tip as well. When you're cleaning, sometimes, I know it's the temptation is to scrub and get it so clean. A little tip for you, these animals have an incredible sense of smell. They are always tongue flicking, as you can see she's doing now. And I believe you can over clean. Don't get me wrong, it's important to clean, it's important to get bacteria away and cleaned as best you can. But I think you can overdo it. And I personally don't have a problem with little bits of urate or whatever, providing it's not building up too much. I think that they actually feel a bit more at home when they go back in their tub after a clean, if there's a little bit of their smell. I've actually found that very often, if you do a really deep clean sort of thing, that you put them back in the tub, and within a matter of an hour or less often, certainly within a couple of hours, very often they will urinate to actually give it the smell that they are familiar with. So you're actually not necessarily accomplishing what you want to there anyway. Anyway, I digress. So this is Peppa, and she is a visual pied. So this is the girl that I only wanted Star-Lord to be paired to. Why? Well, because she is also 50% het for Ultramel. Her father was 100% het Ultramel, and therefore she is 50% het. Her father was not a visual, was a guaranteed het. So she has a 50% chance of inheriting the Ultramel gene. She's a visual pied, as you can see, but does she carry the gene? Well, we need to prove that out. And what better way to prove it out, bring him back into picture, than to do it with a visual pied Ultramel. Everything here is going to be pied. That is a guarantee, because both parents are visual pieds. So worst case scenario, with this pairing, we will get a clutch full of pieds that will all be 100% het for Ultramel. So she's 50% het. Worst case scenario, we guarantee that everything here would be a pied 100% het Ultramel. So that immediately improves upon this girl, because we can guarantee that then, because he is a visual for both. However, at the same time, we can also prove if she is het for Ultramel. If she has any Ultramels in the clutch, then we know that she is 100% het. And because Star-Lord, who is trying to escape there, is a visual Ultramel, and we've just discussed that everything that he fathers will carry the Ultramel gene, will inherit a Ultramel gene from him. That means that if Peggy here, Peppa here, we do have another snake called Peggy. If Peppa here is het for Ultramel, statistically half of the youngsters should be pied Ultramels. So our big hope here, keeping everything crossed, is to get a clutch where half of them statistically would be pied Ultramels, and the other half would be pied 100% het Ultramel. To be completely honest with you, I'd be happy with even one pied Ultramel, because it would prove that she carries that Ultramel gene. But obviously, if we can get more, great. And that is why I was only wanting this guy to breed with this girl, because I need to prove her out. Did have some other options for some other pieds that I could pair her to, but I want to prove out if she's het Ultramel, because that then gives me options going forwards of how to use her, and also of hopefully producing some other visual Pied Ultramels that I can use in the future, but at the very least producing, as I say, some Pieds that I know are then Het Ultramel. So that's why this was a pairing that had to be done, and I was willing to not pair her with anything else and to risk not having a clutch in favour of getting the clutch I actually want. Now this was the girl that I kept pairing him to, and this was the girl that he then locked with actually just a few days after we shot the last video, or a couple of days after, I think. So they have had one lock. They are due to be paired again in the next week or so, but they have had now a lock. She is weighing in at about, I think it was when we weighed her a couple of weeks ago, about 1,650 grams, something like that. So she's at the early stages of a building phase, but hopefully she will give us a clutch. We will keep pairing them. Hopefully she'll give us a clutch, and we will hopefully get some visual Pied Ultramels. But that is that first pairing. As I say, that's Peppa and Star-Lord there. Okay, so this is the next girl that I wanted to show you. Again, you can see some slightly old urates there, similar to the last one. This is a snake which I know that Rob is gonna be pleased to see again. This is Cali. She's actually our biggest snake that we have. She's currently weighing about 3.2 kilos. And she's gorgeous. She is a pastel spider, otherwise known as a bumblebee, a pastel spider, yellow belly, orange dream calico. And we have proven those genes out now in her, because she actually gave us a clutch last year. She's an older female. She's about 7 years old now. We bought her as a mature female a bit over a year ago, about 18 months ago. Proven female, and she gave us a clutch of 8 good eggs last year. They all hatched. They gave us an amazing clutch. We will do an update on that clutch. An amazing clutch of, we paired her to a super pastel vanilla 100% Het for puzzle. So she produced the Het puzzle clutch last year, or POS Het puzzle clutch, I should say, 50% POS Het puzzle. And there's some amazing snakes there, and we were incredibly lucky on the sex ratios there. We were wanting lots of females. As I say, we got 8 eggs. If I'd have got 5 females, I'd have been delighted. We'd have beaten the odds of 5. We actually got 7 females and only 1 male in that clutch, which was incredible. And she's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I mean, Ruben's doing some lovely zoom-in shots there. She, as you can see, is very chunky. She has been showing us lots of signs that she wants to breed again this year. She bounced straight back on, she started feeding straight away. These animals, it's important to realise they bounce back. Once they start getting back on food, and you can do various things to try and get them on food after they lay a clutch quite quickly. She fed straight away. I think I think maybe 5-6 days after she laid her eggs, she started feeding. Usually 3 or 4 meals, and they will have put back on the weight that they've lost, and she's done incredibly. She's actually, like I say, she's about 3.2 kilos now. When she laid her clutch, I think she'd gone down on memory to about 1,800 kilos. 1,800 grams. So yeah, so she's put on like 1.4 kilos with the build. She's been bowl wrapping, she's pounding food, or has been pounding food. And actually, she's now actually showing some signs that she's getting a little bit more finicky with her feeding. She still is eating, but the last couple of times she hasn't. She has taken food, but she's certainly thought about it longer. She's taken 1 rat, whereas we were sometimes giving her a couple. If I had leftover rat or whatever, and sometimes you'll get that when you're feeding. I would give it to, she would be one of the girls that I would give an extra rat to. And she'd always have them. Last 2 or 3 feeds, she's been a little bit more picky, and I suspect that she's building her follicles to an extent where quite soon she will go off food. So because of that, it was important we got a lock to her. I've got a few locks hopefully, and for this reason we were pairing her to the Pied Ultramel, to Star-Lord. He wasn't doing the job, and we were looking to bring in a backup male. And I actually tried a backup male who didn't lock. It was a first-time breeder male, who is the Hulk Desert Ghost, possibly 50% poss het clown rather. They didn't lock, and that was potentially what I was going to use as a backup. That's who we intend to pair her with next year. But then obviously with Star-Lord starting to do the job, we put him back in, and he has now locked with her. Why do we want this? Well, let me again, and I'm not going to mess about with her, because as I say, she's quite big. She, as you can say, is getting bigger, and is getting ready. We don't want to, yeah, see, she's even a bit temperamental. In fact, I'm going to just hold him above her. I don't want to upset her. Calico, and the Calico gives these lovely whites down the side. Calico is a really good gene to have into Pied, which obviously we are looking to do here with Star-Lord. But also, Calico in Ultramel is amazing. Gavin, balls to you. He's got an amazing sugar Ultramel. I think it might have something else in, maybe yellow belly, I can't remember. An amazing one. He put out another video with that one the other day. But Calico or sugar just brings in a lot more whites up the side of the Ultramel. So that's certainly something we want to get into Ultramel. Yellow belly we want to get into Ultramel, which she holds. And also, as you will have seen, and this is what I love about the Ultramel gene, is all of these oranges, okay? So all of the oranges that you get with the Ultramel gene, and you can see it really well in Star-Lord. We waited to do this video until he shed. He actually shed out today, so he's looking at his best.
It's not as good on camera, but...
Yeah, the camera probably doesn't pick up on it, but you know, he's really orange still, and he's a 2.5-year-old going on to 3-year-old male, 2.5-year-old, I guess, male, and he's so orange still. And she holds, as I say, Orange Dream. Now, I think if you add Orange Dream to this, then you're going to take it up a notch as well. Yellow belly is a brightening gene as well. So yellow, and in Pieds brings oranges. Sometimes they're called pumpkin Pieds, the yellow belly Pieds. So yellow belly and Orange Dream in Pied really give oranges. You add that to this with the Pied Ultramel, it's going to be incredible. And the Calicos are going to bring in, as I say, especially in the Ultramel on its own, are going to bring in some lovely whites up the sides, some flanks. The spider, which is what gives this spider web pattern, and actually I think spiders are gorgeous. I know spider gets a bad rap because of its that there can be some neurological problems with the spider gene. Cali has had hardly any wobble or spinning. She's very good, and actually the clutch that she produced, there's 3 spiders in that clutch, and all of those are very, very good. They have hardly any head wobble. So she's a very good example, and I think they're gorgeous. The spider gene with the webbing there. I don't want lots of spiders in the collection, but I wouldn't mind maybe even one spider Ultramel. I think that would be cool. Spider in Pied, not so keen on. They tend to be incredibly high white, the spider pieds. But certainly an Ultramel, I think that it could be good, the spider. So we might, if we got one, well, we're not going to get any visuals here, but we might keep that one spider, because she is not het, or at least we don't believe she's het for either Pied or Ultramel. We will prove it out. So we are looking to create double hets here. But anyway, that is Cali, and as you can see, she's looking very thick, very big. We will try and get another couple of locks in before she ovulates. I suspect that she will probably ovulate in the next month or so. Probably, yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. So we're going to try and get another couple of locks in for her before then, with this boy here. But there's Cali, and that's the other girl that we have already had one lock with him with. Okay, so this is the final snake we're pairing with Star-Lord. This is Dawn, and this is important snake for Ruben because this is Ruben's snake, okay? Or one of his snakes. And she is a pastel, but she is 100% het, or at least bought as 100% het for Ultramel. And that's why we want to pair her to Star-Lord. So let's just, we've shown you the pastel gene before, but pastel blushes out the head stamp. So you can see it's blushed out there. You can get very different varieties of pastel. This one is what I would term as quite a dark pastel. The blacks are really quite dark. The brightness, you can see she's bright underneath and coming up the flanks, but not particularly bright. Sometimes they can be almost, well, really quite yellow or orangey, yellow in particular, with the alien heads. And I would say that this girl isn't particularly. But as I say, she is very dark. The contrast is quite high, and that is something that I have noticed that seems to be indicative of quite a few of the het Ultramels, and I think that might be a potential sign of, or marker as they're called, of carrying Ultramel, and that's something we may look at in a future video. I've thought it for a year or so, while I've been, 18 months I guess, while I've been keeping these snakes, or a couple of years actually I guess now. We've got a few that are het Ultramel and hopefully post het Ultramel, and that is something which I've certainly seen. And interestingly, I was watching a video literally, I think yesterday, King Austin from Mutation Creation, he seems to have spotted a similar thing, similar trait. So I think that that's something that's pretty keen. Austin from Mutation Creation, anyone that knows him, he is very big on the Ultramel. He's got a lot more Ultramel than we have, and the fact he's seeing what we're seeing as well makes me think that may well be a little bit of a marker. But anyway, so this girl was bought as 100% het Ultramel. I believe she will prove out. We will have to prove her out, just to, although we've no reason to doubt that she is. But nevertheless, you buy snakes, particularly if it's not from like one of the big breeders, and you still want to prove it out just to be sure. But I think that she is, and by pairing her to Star-Lord, we will prove that out, because he will, and well, everything he fathers will carry the gene. So if she does carry Ultramel, 50% of her young should prove to be Ultramel with being paired to Star-Lord. Why do we want to pair her then? One, to prove her out with the Ultramel, but also to bring in the pastel into that project. Pastel can brighten it. As I say, she's not a particularly fine example of the pastel gene. We're going to do a video on that with pastel gene, but But what I do like with this girl is some of the markings. If you see up here, the alien heads are very uniform. Quite elongated here. And then you get all the keyholes, or the eyes as I call them. Gets a little bit more stretched out down the tail end, a bit more wacky around here. But up at the first, I guess, half of the body, very uniform, almost sort of pretty Cypress-esque in those markings. Cypress is another gene which we do have and love. We will look at that gene probably in more detail another time. That particular girl is almost of size to come into the breeding program, so we'll probably look at that more. But yeah, do love the markings this girl has, and we want to try and produce some visual ultramales from her, hopefully prove her out, and all of them will also be 100% het pied. So she has just hit that magical 1,500 grams. She's actually, we weighed her yesterday. She is weighing 1,525 grams now, so she is just ready to be paired, and we'll see if he does the job with her. He's now locked to the other two that we're pairing him with. Let's see if he locks with her. But no worries if he doesn't. She's coming to, you know, she might go this year. It's probably more likely that she'll go next year, but we'll give her a chance and see. So that's Dawn. And just for one last time, I guess, let's bring Star-Lord into the picture so you can see them together, and what we're trying to do. So there they are, both together, and I think it would be lovely if we can get a clutch off them, and Ruben will love that. We were looking as the backup male to pair her to Ruben's male, which is Lucifer. That was the first snake we ever had, and Lucifer is a Mojave who is 100% het for Ultramel. The only trouble with that, and this is why it was a backup male, is that because they both be hets, you'd only have a 1 in 4 chance of hitting the Ultramel. Would get some Mojaves in there, which would be good. Pastel Mojaves, hopefully, which are called Pastaves, so you could get another codom in very easily. But only a 1 in 4 chance of hitting the Ultramel, whereas a 1 in 2 chance of hitting it with Star-Lord here, and then being 100% het pied. So we'll prove her out this year. It may well be Ruben, I don't know. You might not want to speak, but you got any thoughts of if we prove her out, maybe putting Lucifer to her next year? Maybe do it next year. Once we've proven that she's Ultramel, we could then maybe go for the Pastavi Ultramel next year, which would be nice to hit. But anyway, that's it for this time. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe. Any questions, drop in the comments below. Let us know what's your favourite pairing. What would you like to see going into this amazing genes of the Pied Ultramel? What would you want to see going into that? We've put to use several genes that we're going to put in there this time. We're looking at Spider, Pastel, Orange Dream, Yellow Belly, Calico. What else? What else would you like to see go in there? Personally, I think the next stage for us would be to maybe get some other dark genes in there. We've gone with the cinnamon this last year. We've got some of them growing up. But Ultramel with dark genes is really good, which is why I'd like to get Mojave into it in the future. But anyway, that's it for us this time, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks all. Bye.